Hello, hello there. Welcome to the third session of my Harlequin artwork that I did as live streamed on Twitch. Did it recently, about a week or so ago now. Parts one and two are already available on YouTube. So if you'd like to see those first before we get to this stage, you'll find them on my page or whatever you call it. Yeah, this is the third one. It's not really a spoiler as such, in that it's a good standalone video anyway. As you can see, I've just been doing some of the actual the typical Harlequin patterns, if you like, on the outfit. The checkered patterns with a slightly graduated pencil mark, blended in, and then I think on these ones I'll just reinforce them slightly with a very fine liner pen. And then now obviously I'm just using a battery operated rubber or a razor if you're the other side of the pond, just to clean up the edges a little bit and smarten it up. For those that haven't seen part one and two, I'll explain briefly the metaphor behind these artworks. If you have seen one and two, apologies, because you're going to hear it for a second or possibly even third time. So yeah, it's a metaphor for those that struggle a little bit like myself with their mental health, and it's a well-known fact that many people who suffer with their mental health do wear what we call the mask. That pretends that everything is fine and they can carry on with life. Some often being the joker, the centre of attention, and just acting as if everything's absolutely normal, absolutely hunky dory. Whereas in reality, they're suffering on the inside, they're struggling, and their brains are being particularly cruel to them. I know sometimes my brain does its level best to try and bring me down, to want of a better expression, try and destroy me basically. So when we're not in public, there's and the mask slips, that's when the dark moments can take over. So it's like a little bit of a metaphor for that. So the Harlequin character is sort of weighed down with the rope, which will become more apparent, I believe, during this session. Yeah, weighed down is hunkered over, is just the weight of wearing that mask, and I'm leaving the mask particularly um, devoid of any sort of great detail or uh, expression or anything as well. That's kind of intentional. Now it's been a week since I did this piece. Now I know that's not long ago, but I'm trying to remember where I go next. In the actual video, which is sped up 8 times from the original stream, I'm obviously at this moment in time talking to people that are watching. Obviously been asked a few questions, and I'm just responding with a few answers. So I should get back to the drawing very shortly. So those that haven't watched again earlier videos, I'm tending to use a very soft pencil or relatively soft pencil in a 4B, 5B, something like that. And I lay the pencil down first, and then using a blending stick or a blending stump, I graduate the pencil marks across each individual segment. It's a big thing that happens in my work is every single geometric shape and segment that is created, every single one is treated in their own right. I'm not trying to create shade and shadow, but what I do want to do is create a sense of depth or a sense of form. So even though on certain areas it looks like there's a shaded area, it's not true shadow as such. And if there's two segments that are adjacent to each other and they're both shaded, I will always try and get the shadow in opposite corners so that they don't blend into each other too much. It's a technique that I've used a fair few times, and I'm kind of enjoying using it again at the moment. It's been quite a while since I've drawn and painted to any great degree, Had a bit of a break whilst my new studio was being built and just sorting a few issues out with my own noggin. Um, but yeah, back at it now, and I'm sort of easing my way in by employing the pencil technique, the pencil and blending, so that you can actually see at the moment the way I'm using it. So I've put the pencil down in two opposite ends and then blended it together, and then use that electronic pencil again, electronic rubber, just to blend everything out to clear up the edges. And it's a good effect. There will be some people that would prefer to sit here and watch me use a whole range of different pencils of different hardnesses or softnesses and create a true blended pencil drawing. I'm of the opinion if you've got a technique that simplifies matters, then why not employ it? Um, it's the same metaphor that I've used previously with maths questions when you do your exams at school and you have to show on say a division sum, and you have to show the entire workings out and long workings out of 1,000 divided by 25, whereas in reality you can work that out pretty quickly without having to show all the long division. I basically do away with the long division and go straight for the simplest form of division, if you like. So that's generally the metaphor I use for this. But as you can see, yeah, just dark soft pencil in that section there. Did it in three segments, three corners of the segment, then blended it in with the stump, and then tidied up the edges with the electronic or the electric battery operated eraser, and then just reaffirmed some of the black lines as well with the fine liners again. We're about halfway through the video now, just as I working on each segment one at a time. I tend to try and work and maintain a sense of balance. So in order to facilitate that, I won't just work in one area alone and create that whole area. I will jump from corner to the middle to all over the image to try and maintain a sense of balance. There's a danger if you do all one end of a figure, but when time you've finished, it can look a little bit lopsided or heavy on one side and unbalanced. That's how I tend to work. And I was like, this image is entirely fine liner pens and the blended pencil. Nothing, there's no paints involved in this one. And it's a really simple technique how to create the image, and it's a technique I started first of all when I first started the whole Cubism journey, and I've kind of improved it. I would like to think improved it, but I've just sort of moved it on, evolved it since day one when I first started doing it. And I just, it's a technique, tried and tested technique that I use a lot, and it works for me. It works for me. And I've travelled up and down the country doing art demonstrations and art workshops. And you can see it's quite funny when I sit down, first of all, and I start doing, say, a demonstration, and I'm working with a blank canvas with no reference material. And I start just doing a very simple sketch and then start destroying the sketch by throwing lines through it. And then I start rubbing the lines out, and you can see people sitting there for the first 20 minutes or so of the demonstration, and you can see them going, what is this bloke doing? I don't get this at all. But then as it progresses and I start to reaffirm each of the geometric shapes that we've created, you see people kind of going, oh, okay, now I can see it coming to life. Now I can see it working. That picture that's come up now at the moment was from Wednesday Club. Both myself and my 11-year-old grandson, and my other half as well, we have what we call Wednesday Club. Strange enough, every Wednesday, one week we have a takeaway, the next week we cook something, and then follow that with generally speaking, he generally whoops my ass on the PlayStation. Or in this particular week, we decided to have a go at doing some cubism, and we created a cubist car peach. He's a keen fisherman at the age of 11, um, so yeah, it's easily transferable skills or techniques that you can use on virtually any image you like. So you create a simple sketch, you throw some line through. Hopefully, I like to call it instinctively. It looks a little bit random, but I prefer to say instinctive. Once you've done that, then you start taking lines out, and you can take them out completely, or you can manipulate them and move them to another position. And that starts to play about with the perspective a little bit and begins to fragment the image that you initially drew. Once you've done that, you'll notice it will have generated or created a whole bunch of interesting geometric shapes. And that's where you then using the sense of balance, start working on each individual segment in their own right, and it builds up an interesting image. I was saying about the people when I do the demonstrations, I'm always inundated by people coming up at the end of it going, I wasn't sure what to expect to start with, and I've wondered where it was going, but I found it endlessly fascinating. I found it therapeutic. I found it what's the other words they use? But they get drawn into it, and people generally really enjoy the demos because they're just completely different to other styles of art that they've seen before, which is brilliant, and that's what I want to do. And off the back of doing demonstrations, I often get asked to go back and do workshops as well. And then as part of my website, I've got a create your own gallery on my website at www.stevewoodhamsart.com, where I ask people who've done demos and workshops with me, or anybody else who's watched any of my videos and felt inspired, to email me a copy of their picture, and I'll put it into the gallery. So anybody watching this fancies having a go at doing something similar, please do, and then please do email it to me. My email address is stevewoodhamsart@outlook.com. Just making sure I got that right. Yep, so that's my website, www.stevewoodhamsart.com. You'll also find me on Instagram at Steve Woodham's Art, on Facebook at the similar one, Steve Woodham's Art. And strangely enough, I'm on Twitch as well, where you'll see the live versions of this. Slightly slower, slightly more laid back. I'm on there relatively regular. I probably do average about 15 to 20 hours on there each week. And that again is / Steve Woodham's Art. So I'm popping up left, right, and centre. But yeah, we're getting towards the end of this now. I think we've probably got a couple of minutes left. But please, if you are watching this, just give me a follow, give me a subscribe. I'm trying to get my numbers up, and it really would be appreciated. And it's nice to know. It'll be nice to know that people are out there actually watching this, and it will hopefully reaffirm the fact that I'm doing it. Yeah, so it's something different. Where are we? Chatting to the video again. I do gas quite a lot, as you might be able to tell from my commentary. Just firming up some of the lines here. A bit more blending. As you can see, I mean, I know it's sped up, but it's a simple way of achieving a nice sort of graduated bit of shading in pencil. But do it with a soft pencil, 4B, anywhere 4B to 8B really. Got to bear in mind the softer the pencil, the more it will smudge as you're working. Technically, I suppose I should have used a sheet of paper underneath my hand whilst I was moving around the paper. It's one of those things you forget about. Anyway, as it says on there, thank you for watching. We're into the last few seconds. Please do give me a follow. Please do subscribe. It means a hell of a lot to me. I'm going to be hopefully posting session 4 very soon. And I wish you well. Take care and hopefully see you next time. Many thanks.